Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to the life of a virtual airline pilot. And it has been a while since we've flown anything for this particular series. So long, in fact, that I actually got a comment from one of you that said, it looks like you've given up on the life of a virtual airline pilot series. No, I have not, in fact, given up on it. It is absolutely my intent to press on with this series as well as the life of a virtual cargo pilot. I also want to continue with the unusual, difficult, and dangerous approaches. I've just been super busy lately, managed to squeeze in a couple of live streams, but just haven't gotten a lot of video recording time in. I did need to do that full flight tutorial for the FS Labs Airbus, which, if you look here, we got 15 hours to go, which means we're going to get a lot more time in that Airbus as well as our PMDG 737 and a whole host of other aircraft once we knock out these 15 hours. And I'm really excited to do it, and I kind of have an idea in my head. I think what I might do here is I might do 2 flights back to back. So do this flight based on your votes and then choose the next flight myself and go ahead and just bust it out, get the video done, get it released, and then let you vote on the next flight after that. And the only reason I'm thinking about doing that is this flight, the flight we're going to do today, based on your votes, we're flying into Salt Lake City. Boy, I'll tell you what, it was an overwhelming vote, probably because it's been so long since I've done one of these flights. There was a lot more votes than usual, so which was great though, but overwhelmingly you guys voted to fly into Salt Lake City. I even saw a couple questions if there was any good scenery. I looked around. The only scenery I can find for Salt Lake City, payware or freeware, is from Blue Sky Sceneries. It's photo real scenery. I went ahead and loaded in a few of the grid squares around Salt Lake City and Salt Lake City itself so that we'll at least have something that looks nice when we come in. But this flight's a little over 3 hours. I'm going to do everything I can to stretch it a little bit longer. I really want to knock these hours out. So I'm thinking, okay, 15 hours. If we do 3-hour flights, we're looking at 5 more flights. 5 more flights, and then we're going to get promoted. And I got to tell you, so I'm excited about that. So if I do this flight and then 1 more, and then let you guys vote at the end of that one on the next one, on the next place we go, and then I do that flight and 1 more, and then you guys will get to vote on the final flight that takes us over that required time. And so that's the way I think that I'm going to do this, and that's going to also allow me to possibly get 2 videos done this week. Because I don't have to wait to see what the vote is. And it's not that I mind waiting to see what the vote is, but I think all of us have kind of reached that point where it's like, okay, we get it. The Embraer E-Jets, fantastic. They're good little aircraft. They're fun to fly, but we've done a lot of flights in these, and unfortunately there's just not a lot of good aircraft available for the first officer rank here, and so that can be a little frustrating. And to be honest with you, I think I'm burnt out on this airplane. I want to start doing some different stuff. I'm excited to do some different stuff. I'm excited for different flights and so on. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And I hope that nobody feels like put out by that or anything like that. And I don't think you guys will. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to do. And ultimately, what this leads to is making sure that you guys vote on the final flight that takes us over the required hours to reach the rank of captain. And then it's really going to get fun from there, guys. I got all kinds of ideas in mind. There's a mission I want to fly that's going to be awesome up in Alaska. Just all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. So all of that being said, well, let's dive right in. Again, 15 hours to go. We're in St. Louis. That's our hub. Fantastic. Very excited about it. Let's jump down here to all bids because I went ahead and bid on the flight already. And I think at some point here, I'm probably just going to remove all these. I've reached the point of almost the point of despair. I just don't think Aerosoft's going to release that CRJ anytime in the next couple of years. And so really it's just gotten to the point where it's like I'm getting sick and tired of seeing these in here. So, yeah, I think we're probably going to be getting rid of those. Let's see here. We can get rid of this, I think. I don't remember why we put these in here. There was some purpose behind it or some idea behind it. I don't remember what it is, but I might just clean all this up here pretty soon. But in the meantime, here's the flight we're going to be doing. It's Delta Airlines Flight 5727 from St. Louis to Salt Lake City, and it's in the E170, or for us, the E175. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the pilot brief real quick. And let's see, what do we got here? So departing 1840, I got to remember, it's been a little while since I've done this. I need to remember to set the time properly. So 1840 Zulus, the departure, should take us up to about 2200 in that E175. Weather is going to come from Active Sky 2016 now. Don't know if I've done a virtual airline pilot video with this new weather program. Love Active Sky 2016 with Active Sky Cloud Art, so I'm looking forward to that. As far as our flight dispatch is concerned, we're going to pull our route from PFPX as always, and we'll be getting our charts. I can't talk. You know, it's something about putting a microphone in front of your face, all of a sudden you can't talk. We will be getting our charts from Navigraph Charts, so everything should be good there. So that's the information for our flight. I don't want to spend a lot of time here. I've already yapped long enough. Let's get into the aircraft. Let's get ACARS started up, and you know, we're gonna take our time. I'm gonna have to anyway. It's been a while since I've flown this aircraft, so we're gonna take our time going through all the pre-flight stuff, and then we're gonna get this bird in the air and knock out a few more hours towards that promotion, because boy, we need it. So we'll see you here in a second. We'll see you here in a second. Hopping into the sim now. Alright, here we are then. We got ACARS obviously up and running already. You can see I've gone ahead and put the flight in here and pressed on the Get Flight button. Remember, if you press Get Bid, it's just going to grab the next one in the list. And since I haven't cleared out that list yet, that's not going to work for us. We can see that it starts at our current location, STL, and takes us out to Salt Lake City, which is what we want, of course. 3 hours, 20 minutes is what the flight is scheduled for. Like I said, we're going to do everything we can to stretch that just a little bit and see if we can get a little more time out of that. Let's just say it was bad weather or something like that. Nobody at PVA yell at me for that. Anyway, distance is just over 1,000 miles, and we're good to go. So we need to go ahead and load a route in there. We'll just grab a previous route, not a problem. You can see this has been flown a few times. We are going to be taking the Ozark 4 and Spain 6. Actually, I think it's Ozark 5 and Spain 6 arrivals. So we'll just go ahead and take this guy right here. Even though the route won't be quite the same, that'll work for us just fine. Click on Setup Flight. Our cruise altitude today is going to be, let me find it here, flight level 340. So crank that all the way up to 340. Check on that, and we should be good to go. So we'll click Start Flight. Yep, E175 is on the, what do you call it, the substitution chart for the E170, so we're good on that. Good to go. Shrink that down, and we are ready to rock and roll. All right. So, let's see. What do I need to do here? I don't think there's a lot to do. The scenery looks pretty nice, though. These textures on the ground, in case anybody's wondering, this stuff comes from the Rex 4 textures, so good to go there. Obviously, we're going to be flying the, what do they call this? The delivery livery? I don't think they call it that. But this was obviously the original paint scheme for the E175, the E195 when they released it. Now, I just have to say, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but Embraer, what were you thinking? That is an ugly looking airplane, and it's a shame too, because actually the 175 and the 195 are beautiful aircraft. I really like them, but that paint scheme on there, not liking it so much at all. So just something to keep in mind there. Other than that, I think we're good to go. We might as well jump on in here. I think we've given enough time to show our flight information down there and all that good stuff. So let's jump into the aircraft here. And here we have her cold and dark. It would be nice if we could get rid of the yokes, but we cannot. So we haven't been in this bird in a while. So remember now, other than this stuff being really flat, not really having any three-dimensional pop to it, the textures in here I still think are pretty good. So anyway, I'm done blathering on here. What do you say? Let's see. We got to jump in our checklist here. Let's go ahead and let's run through the cockpit safety inspection. And again, as with previous versions, I'm going to basically run down the entire list, and we won't be actually looking at a lot of things because we know most of this stuff is good to go. Again, it's a simulation, and a lot of these things aren't even simulated. So cockpit safety inspection then. Maintenance status, cockpit emergency equipment, electric panel, fuel panel, windshield wipers, hydraulic panel, air conditioning and pneumatics panel, ELT and landing gear lever are all checked. Here's the landing gear lever. It is a good idea to check the windshield wiper, and I don't recall if the windshield wipers actually work in this thing or not. But I heard it. I don't remember where I heard it at. And while I'm talking, I'm actually, here we go, windshield wipers off. The reason you want to make sure that these are off is because if there's no rain right now, you got the potential to scratch the windscreen with the windshield wiper, and of course we don't want that. So yeah, make sure those are off. Start stop selectors need to be in the stop position, which they are this time actually. They're in the stop position, so that's good. What else? Speed brake lever needs to be closed. That's this guy all the way forward is closed. That's one thing I hate is the huge glare you get inside this thing. Wrap manual deploy is stowed. That's this guy right here, and it's not actually simulated, so we can't do anything with that. Flap lever verify position all the way up, which is where we want it. And then circuit breakers check. And of course, the circuit breakers are not actually modeled in the aircraft, so we know that that they're all going to be good to go. So that's the cockpit safety inspection. And so that takes us right into the power-up checklist. We'll hop up top here, and we start with battery 1, and battery 1 needs to be on, and battery 2, even though it still says battery 1 here, needs to be on auto. So on, auto, and then the first thing I want to do is click that, otherwise it's just going to keep dinging at us and drive me nuts. Battery voltage checked. Now I think somebody mentioned where you check the battery voltage, and I hate to be a butt, but I do not remember where that was. AC bus 1 and 2, and I don't think it's up top here, right? It's not up here anywhere. Yeah, I'm a little ashamed to say that I forget where that was, and I do apologize for that, for whoever provided that information. I appreciate you providing the information, and I apologize that I don't remember where that's at, but for some reason I want to think it's on here, a different mode or something, but not 100% certain, and so we're just going to have to suck it up. So moving on, GPU button as required. Let's go ahead and flip that on. Wrong button there. So GPU is available, so we flip it on, and now it's in use, so we have power from the GPU. We'll get to the APU here in a couple minutes. But because we have power on the aircraft, technically we should have the red beacons on. I believe that's the correct answer. Now, of course, the red beacon drives me nuts because you can see it inside the aircraft. That's a little obnoxious. I mean, it's obviously just a texturing issue. So I'm going to leave that off for now. We'll turn nav lights on. That's just letting everybody know that we've got power on the aircraft, even though we don't have the APU running yet. And we'll press on from there. Emergency lights need to, or sorry, fire extinguisher panel check. You can't actually do anything with it. The test doesn't work. The handles don't work. Nothing like that. Not simulated. Next would be the emergency lights need to be armed. They are now. Attendant call doesn't work either. I never even tried that. And then we go to the APU selector knob and start the APU. So rotate the mouse wheel once, second time to the start position, and the APU is firing up. And if you look down here, APU should show up on this guy right here. There it is. It's coming up right now. So we're good on that. And then nav lights and logo lights would come on. We already had nav lights on, so we'll go ahead and flip the logo lights on. And then before we start engines, we're supposed to start the red beacon. That's a PVA thing, so we want to try and remember to do that just so that we don't run into or get any what do you call it, any errors or flight errors or whatever. So hydraulic panel needs to be checked. Here's the hydraulic panel. It's checked. It doesn't actually say anything else to do. It just says check it. So there you go. We've checked it. Electronic CBs checked. Now this is another one. Somebody told me what this is, and I don't remember. Why do I not remember these things? You know what, I think it's just because it's been a little while. I've been so busy doing other things. So electronic CBs, whatever those are, somebody told me about that before. Please remind me once again down in the comments. And yeah, I'll try to remember next time. My apologies. Let's see. Photoluminescence strips checked. Good to go. No problems there. Which takes us directly into the pre-flight checklist. So pressurization panel needs to be set, which it is. Everything is where it's supposed to be, and I only know that because I don't ever touch anything on that panel. Oxygen masks checked. They're not actually physically in the aircraft, so there's nothing I can do about that. And flight instruments, set and cross check. So this has to do with the barometric pressure. And so if we pull up our weather here, you can see I've already pulled up KSTL. Wind is 250. And the altimeter is 3006. So shrink that. Just double check, make sure it's connected. It is. It's connected. Just checking that right there. Okay, so 3006. Here's the barometric pressure over here. We're at 29 or 902. We can just scroll that up to 3006. There we go. You would think it would need to be. I wonder why it's. I mean, what's that right there? Oh, that's just 0. I haven't actually looked at the altitude of this airport here, but we will here in a few minutes. We'll just make sure that that's the right altitude. So 620 feet, 3006 on the altimeter. We should be good to go on that. What's next? Thrust levers need to be to idle, which they are. Let's just make sure
no takeoff.
Yeah,
flash. No takeoff. Brake.
That's because I had them forward a little, so when I moved them, they jumped. And parking brake needs to be on, which it is. Pretty short pre-flight checklist. The long part is going to be the before start checklist, obviously. So first thing it tells us to do on the before start checklist is set the trim panel. And we just want to make sure it's in the green band, which it is already, but that may change when we do fuel. So what do you say we go ahead and let's take a look here. This is our flight plan. There's a cough for you. And it's telling us we need 14,022 pounds of fuel. So we're going to round that up to 14,500. And we need to load the FS flight plan real quick anyway. So if we go here and go, let's start with the flight planner. We'll load. There she is right there. I did that with PFPX. We don't want to find route. We don't want to do anything. We just click OK. And we don't want it to move us either. So no. And then we'll go to aircraft, fuel and payload, and change fuel, not payload. And what did we say? So 14,022 is what we need. So we're going to go to 14,500. So we've got tons in there. So that's what, 72.50 aside. That dinging, by the way, is from the EasyDock camera. I use the number pad, and the number 2 on the number pad is what allows you to adjust cameras. So anyway, so there we go, 14,503. That's going to work for us. We've got our fuel loaded now. That should show up on here. Yep, 72.50 aside. Basically, we're burning some fuel for the APU, obviously. Turn that thing off. Hop up here, and we can turn off the GPU now and turn the APU generators on. So other than this one, if I remember correctly, this is a dark cockpit concept. So that means if there is no lights, it's good to go. Alright, so we're good on that. And that takes us to the MCDU, and this is where we start all the good fun stuff that I haven't done in forever. But if I remember correctly, you go to the nav page, page 2, position initialization, and then we'll load the one up top here. It should be that one. Loaded. Clear that. And then we go to flight plan and load FS flight plan. There it is. FS flight plan loaded in. Quick and simple. Hit the activate button, and we'll take care of our departure before the rest of our performance initialization. So we're going to be taking runway 24, and you'll see that when we do the taxi and departure briefing. And you saw the wind was 250 anyway. So runway 24 makes sense. So runway 24, and it is the Ozark 5 departure, which is right there. So I guess if you pop this up, you can see it a little better. So it's this one here. I don't like the way those things are lined up. And then we are transitioning at HLV. So we'll take that one there. We'll insert that into the flight plan. And then let's just take a look and make sure everything's good to go. So STL now, and I'll brief this during the departure. We're probably going to bypass STL and go straight to Cabot. In fact, I'm definitely going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight Cabot and replace STL with it. Activate that. And then from there to HLV, and then en route from there, CATS. And let's just make sure there's no discontinuities, which there are not. So now we'll roll into performance initialization. And geez, it's been a while since I've done this. Full performance mode, long range cruise is definitely what we're going to need. Climb at 0.7. That looks good. Let's go to the next page. Fuel reserve is going to be 2,000 pounds. Should be more than enough for us. And step increments, we're not going to be stepping. Initial cruise altitude. This is one that always gets me because I forget about it. So we don't want optimum. Our cruise altitude is going to be flight level 340. So 34, and I just put 34,000 because this thing's a little weird. That's our cruise altitude. So by doing that, then on our flight plan, it'll actually, what's the word I'm looking for? It will actually calculate the proper altitudes and all of that stuff. So that should be good to go. Now, let's see. Zero fuel weight. I forget, we can't just click on that. I think we need to go... Ooh, it's been a while, huh? Where do we get the zero fuel weight at? Maybe we just... I guess I can grab it off the flight plan, what the flight plan tells me it's supposed to be. 62,468. Let's just go with that. 62,468. I cannot remember for the life of me what we're supposed to do for that. But that'll work. And it'll be pretty close. Even though we had even though our load on here is probably just a little different than what I did in PFPX, that's alright. We should be pretty close. So I think we'll be fine on that. But if I remember, there was a place we could get it, and I'll end up finding it here in a little bit. Watch. But anyway, let's press on for now. Nothing to mess with in here. Everything's good to go. I'm good with all that. Let's go to the takeoff page. Now we're going to have to enter in some information here. Now let's double check our wind for our runway here, because I didn't write it down. So I'm going to write it down right now. It is 250 at 8. That's the true. Let's go with 253 at 8. The magnetic, because I think that's what we're supposed to be using anyway. 253 at 8, and then the 3006 on the altimeter. Okay, so I wrote it down now so that I don't forget. So let's put that in here. So the wind, 253 at 8. So my brain does not want to function right now. 253/8. There's our wind right there. We've already taken care of departure. We already programmed that in there. So that's telling us what our headwind and crosswind should be. So that's a pretty straightforward, simple takeoff right there. And then here's our V-speed. So the V-speeds, obviously, this is where we got to go to the charts. And there's a ton of them with your user manual or whatever. The place where you find your checklists for, good lord, there's literally tons of them. Takeoff V-speeds. Okay, let's start right there. Now, interestingly enough, let's go back one page here. I don't think I ever noticed this before. Density altitude is 2109. We're supposed to do pressure altitude. Now, remember, we can get pressure altitude by setting standard pressure and then reading the altitude. So what we can do is, we need the pressure altitude. So let's pop this up, set this to standard, 29902. And that gives us the pressure altitude, which is about 470. Put that back to 3006. And shrink it down, and then we'll pop this guy up. So 470 is our pressure altitude. And if you look on your chart, now we're going to be doing a flaps 1 or 2. We'll do a flaps 1 takeoff. Actually, we're kind of heavy. Let's do flaps 2. And basically, we're sea level. We're close enough to sea levels. So it goes sea level, then 1,000, 2,000, and so on for pressure altitude. So we'll use the sea level setting. And then we use the static air temperature, which is located on here. Static air temperature is plus 29 degrees Celsius. So we look on here, we can see that anywhere from, this is on the chart again, and I've shown these charts to you guys before, so I'm not pulling them up right now. But the same place where you get your checklist, that's where you get your charts from, which should be in your Fuel Air E-Jets documentation. So the temperature anywhere from -40 to +36 Celsius is all the same. All right. So then you just scroll down, and you got to scroll down to your weight, right? So we got to have the weight for this. So if we went back to the performance page, and I think it was under here, right? Next. Yep, there we go. So we're going with our gross weight, not our zero fuel weight, which is 76,970. So we scroll all the way down, and we've got 76,100, and the next one down is 77,200. So guess which one we're going to be using for our V speeds? That's right, 77,200. We want to round up on that. So we can go back to our takeoff section, go to page 3, and on the chart, based on the information we just came up with, V1 is 133. So put in V1. And rotate is 141. And then V2 is 146. And then our VFS, which is all the way over to the side here, is 196. I'm still not sure what VFS is actually supposed to be. I think that's the speed at which you're good to go with no flaps, maybe? I don't know, I could be wrong about that. Let's go to the climb page here real quick. 240, that's where we really want to be at. Just until we get above 10,000, and then maybe we'll make adjustments from there. Cruise, it's going to be at 0.71 Mach, flight level 340, that's good. Descent at 250, I'm good with that. And then landing, and then here again we'll have to put in runway information, we can put in elevation, and then here on page 3 we'll put in our VREF speeds and so on. And that's it for FMCDU or MCDU, FMC, whatever you want to call the thing, FMS. That's it for initialization on that. So we're going to go on this thing. We've got our flight plan in there. Now what we haven't done actually, let's go back here and let's go to landing. Let's do our arrival real quick, because our arrival is not going to change. We're going to be on the same star that we're planning on. And I'm pretty sure what our approach is going to be as well, because I checked the forecast, but we'll put the arrival in for now, which is Spain 6. This guy right here. And we're coming off of EKR. And when we do the arrival briefing, you'll see that's a little funky looking, but there you have it. So we'll insert those and activate them. And then we'll just check for discontinuities, which there are none. And then when we put in our, come on brain, function. When we put in our approach, we'll do the same thing, check for discontinuities, and then we'll be good to go there. And I think that's it for the moment. This thing's ready to rock and roll. So pressing on with the before start checklist, then we want to check our fuel quantity, which we've already technically done, but we'll pull it up again. So 7250 and 7190, we're definitely going to want to balance those out, and I'll see if I can remember how to do that when the time comes, but we're good on that. Taxi and takeoff briefing, we're actually going to do that as we taxi out. That's how we normally do it. That's the way we're going to do it on this one. Passenger signs can come on at this point. We'll assume passengers are loaded. So fasten seatbelts, no smoking, and we'll put on sterile cockpit. Doors and windows are all closed, and the flight deck door is supposed to be locked, which I don't think you can actually lock it on this one. Usually the lock's back here somewhere, but with all the glare you can't really see anything. Cockpit door, lock. It doesn't let you mess with it, so excuse me, it doesn't really let you mess with anything down here, does it? Okay. Red beacon comes on at this point. Again, a little... wow, I have the hiccups all of a sudden. Let me take a drink of something here. Alright. The little blinking light within the cockpit is a little obnoxious. What is this little tiny arrow? FSL Spotlights trial. Use Spotlights Manager to... what the heck is this? This is from Flight Sim Labs. I had to install this when I... let's see if I can close that out. I don't want to do that. I don't like that at all. I mean, it's not like it's really big, but I don't like it being there. That's obnoxious to me. I'm not using FS Labs spotlights for this aircraft. Anyway, sorry, pressing on. Red beacon's on. Hydraulic pump 3A needs to go on. I'll pop up here so you can see a little better. This is 3A right here. We flip that to the on position. And then overhead panel normal, which means all lights are off except for the GPU currently being available. So, and that's it. That's it until we actually start, but of course we can't start the engines until we push the aircraft back. So, we're gonna be pushing back tail right, nose left, if I remember correctly. I'm just looking at my chart over here. Yeah, tail right, nose left, so let's set that up. Is it? Okay, I thought it was gonna not work for a second. Nose left, tail right. No, we don't want to start before pushback. And remember, startup is just wicked easy in this thing. You don't really have to do anything to start the aircraft. All you do is flip the start switches to start, and you're good to go. So, while he's getting set up, let's go.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
There's our systems. Where is it? Oh, it's not this one. Dirt? Yeah, it is. What am I thinking? I want to put the,
Locking gear.
okay. There we go. That's what you got to click it a second time, I guess. If you're not on it. Okay. So we want the progress bar on there.
Check completed. Bypass vent inserted. Release parking brakes.
I'll release them in a second. Vertical profile on there. And I think that's it. That's all we really need. Remember now, you see the little brackets there? So when you're on the brackets, you can use the mouse wheel to scroll up and down to change your range on this. Okay, let's release the parking brakes. I know.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
Yeesh, kind of pushy.
Start that wheel.
There's a couple things we haven't actually done yet. Let's go ahead and let's set those up before we start the engines. We need to set our altitude. And we're going to go for flight level 340. There's no altitude restrictions on our departure. I actually looked at it. Remember, if you right-click it, we'll just take that to 0. It goes by thousands, so we'll right-click it. I'm a little stuffy today. These allergies are ridiculous. Okay, 340, and then the speed. Actually, let's leave that up for now. The speed can be set at, let's see, what are we on? We want to be on... It's on manual right now, so we'll set it to 240. Okay, speed set, that's set. Let's go ahead and start engines. This is wicked easy anyway. So we're going to start with engine number 2. You're going to right click to pop the cover up, roll the mouse wheel all the way to start, right click to close the cover, and we can see here the engine's starting up on its own. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to add fuel or anything like that. The engine will do a complete start all by itself. Auto brake will go to RTO. That's probably part of the after start checklist, but we'll get to that in a minute. At least he's pointing us in the right direction here. Oh, I hate that thing. It'll just keep beeping at you. No matter what, it'll keep beeping at you. It's ridiculous. It's gonna have a set parking brake for a sec.
Parking brake.
Parking brake is set. While he's disconnected, right click, roll the mouse wheel to start, right click it again, and you can see engine 1 will start up here. And I want to try and balance the fuel before we taxi out here. And I think at this point you're supposed to start the timer too. That's our block time.
Locking gear.
So we're off block at this point, right? I think that's the way it's supposed to go.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass being removed.
Let the engine stabilize here real quick. Alright. Let's take care of our after start checklist then. First things first, we set the flaps. We said we're going to do flaps 2.
Right is clear.
There's 1, there's 2, and that's just because we got a pretty heavy load of fuel and packs and all that. We probably don't need flaps 2, but I'm going to do it anyway. Flight controls, we want to check those. So here's how we do that. Go to Systems, and then you can see here's your brakes on here. And then flight controls. Oh, there's battery voltage right there. Dirt. Somebody told me that too, I'm sure. So yeah, click on systems to check your battery voltage. There we go. Flight controls. We'll click on that one. And here we go. So full left. Looks good. Full right. Looks good. Neutral. Full up. Good. And we should see these things clicking on and off. This is the actuators. And then full down. Neutral. And then the rudders will go full left. Full right. And neutral. So we're good on that. Back to the map. Shrink that back down. ICAS is checked. That's this guy here. No takeoff config. Let's see why. Probably because of the parking brake. If I take that off, and let's hit just to check it.
Takeoff, okay.
Yep, there we go. Okay. So we're good on that. Dispatch clearance, we don't need to worry about that. Now I do have in great big letters here written APU off. We need to turn off the APU. So flip this guy off. Let it cool down. Strobe light, I guess, goes on right before takeoff, technically. We can turn the taxi lights on, so we'll go ahead and turn those on. We don't need the inspection light on. But I do want to balance the fuel really quick. And I'm trying to remember here. Now, I know it's up here somewhere. Where is it at? Isn't it up here? Yeah, fuel. Has something to do with these pumps here. No, it's not the pumps. It's this one here. So if 1 is low, I think we rotate it to 1. If 2 is low, we rotate it to 2. So let's do this. Let's grab this thing. We're going to need this. Come back up here so we can see. And so what should happen is I want fuel to go from this tank to this tank. So I rotate this to this side. And we should see the fuel start to transfer. Let's see if I did it right. Maybe. I don't see anything happening. It's not doing anything right now. Oh, 70. Nope, that one's just going down. Maybe what it does is it just stops using the fuel from this side for the moment because I turned the cross feed off. Why can't I remember how to do that? That's what I think is going on, because this one's not going up, but this one's going down, and this one's not going down either. So we'll just leave that on for a minute here while we taxi out, and then we'll put it back to crossfeed once they're relatively even. I think that's what we're supposed to do there. Okay, so I made a bit of a mess of that, as well as my camera view. I don't know why my camera view's all messed up there. That's what that dinging is right there. So now when I change views, it'll go back to the proper view like that. So we're good to go on that. And that takes care of the after start checklist. So I'm going to do my last minute checks here, make sure I didn't screw anything up, and then we'll start taxiing out. We'll take care of taxi brief, departure brief, all that good stuff. So I'll be back here in just a second. All right, everything's as it should be. So let's go ahead and let's pop our track IR on here. There we go, a little bounce around there. Take the brakes off. And why is it all of a sudden like way back? Let me reset that just a little bit. So let me just, there we go. That should be a little bit better. I hate when the track IR view changes on you. It's a little frustrating. Okay, bring in a little throttle here and get this bad boy moving. Doesn't take a whole lot with this thing, thankfully. Kind of nice. There's something with the friction, the ground friction on a lot of aircraft in FSX, where it takes a lot more throttle to get those things going than it should. That's not really the case with this one, though. We don't really have any problems with it, so. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to be hanging left here on Quebec, and as I make this left-hand turn, what do you say we go ahead and take care of the taxi and the departure briefings? Alright, so quick look at the parking chart first so that we understand where we're at on the terminal here. Luckily for Delta Airlines, we're not crammed inside this spot here, but instead we're going to be right out here on the corner at gate A10. So when we push back, we're actually going to be shooting for Papa, and you'll see why here in a second. So we'll push back from A10 with the nose going to the right, or I'm sorry, tail going to the right, nose going to the left, so that we can head on over this way. Now let's take a look at the ground chart here. And as you can see, so it's right out here on the end of this guy right here. And then if, Papa, now it's kind of weird here. Papa is here and here, and we're over here. So we might actually shoot over on Quebec and then cross over runway 12 right, 30 left onto Papa. And then because the wind is currently 240, I forget what the speed is, but anyway, it's 240. It's like 241 is the direction. So we'll take Papa all the way up to the end here, cross over 12 left and 30 right up here to the end of runway 24, and there's plenty of length there. And then that's where we'll hold short right here for our departure. Alright, let's go ahead and take care of this before takeoff checklist. First thing we want to do is hit the takeoff config button. It's the little black one down here.
Takeoff okay.
That tells us everything's set as it should be. Brake temp check. Pop this guy up. Systems. And I think it's under status. Brakes. Temperature 31. They're definitely good. Otherwise we'd be in the yellow. So we're good on that. ICAS is checked. We're good over there. Nothing on that. Landing lights need to come on. That's these guys here. Strobe lights on. That's this one in the middle here. Come on. There we go. Transponder needs to go to TARA, and that is on this guy here. If I remember correctly, we go to radio and click that. TARA, we're going to go there. I don't think we've turned TCAS on here yet. Whoops. TCAS. We want it tilt above. Right? I guess it's not going to let me do that. Okay. Alright, well I guess it's not going to let me do that. So transponder's on. I did not change the transponder code. Let's do that real quick. We're going to have to get actually in the air here really soon. Transponder code. There we go. Our minimum takeoff fuel is 14,022 pounds. No, minimum takeoff 13,842, and we're at 13,840. So we need to get going right now. And that's all we have for the before takeoff checklist anyway. So we're good on that. Let's go ahead and get this bird rolling, and we're gonna roll right into a takeoff here, since we're basically right at our minimum takeoff fuel. Now remember, some of that's reserve. It's a good thing we put a little extra fuel in there for taxi, isn't it? Goodness gracious. So we'll just do a rolling takeoff. So as we come around the corner here, we'll just roll right into it. And away we'll go. And I'm sure we'll save a little fuel somewhere. So, alright. I did turn off the cross feed up there. I actually had left it on a little too long, so I switched it the other way, tried to even them back out a little bit. Sort of worked, sort of didn't. Alright. Here we go. Oh, a little too much rudder there. There we go. And full thrust. There's 80 knots. A little pull to the left. Coming up on V1. There's V1. And rotate. Positive rate. Positive rate. Gears coming up. About 15 degrees nose up here.
Gear up.
If I bring in just a touch more trim. I'm liking that. Looking pretty good. Flight director's not on. Holy cow. How did I manage to not put the flight director on? Okay, so nav's probably only going to arm. What did I hit? Nav, I don't want to approach. Okay, let's set the heading to our current. Come on. Pulling left a little bit there. Okay, heading mode, autopilot on. VNav, actually we're in flight level change. That's good, I'm okay with that. Let it do its thing for a minute there, and then let's go ahead and start rotating our heading to the right here. So we can circle around and get on course. Let me turn track IR off. Kind of makes it a little harder to do some of this. Alright, we need to keep that turn going to right about there, and then we'll arm the nav. I don't know why it's on localizer. Auto throttle, where's auto throttle? There we go, auto throttle on. We'll bring out that first setting of flaps. Why does it keep going to localizer for the nav? That's kind of weird. Bring the speed up a little bit. Let's hit nav again. Oh, I know why. I'm an idiot. Because you have to hit the FMS button. See, it's been a while since I've flown this, hasn't it? So the reason it's going to localizer mode is because right now I'm in VOR or nav mode, which is this one here. You got to hit FMS, then hit nav, and there you go. Now it's armed the LNAV. Dirt. Let's see here. We can bring that flaps up. There we go. Goodness. It's a little rough when you haven't flown this in a while, isn't it? Ooh, bring those flaps up really brought in some speed, huh? Look at that nose coming up. Passengers in the back are going, oh my god, we're gonna die. Okay, just waiting for the LNAV to capture here. You see it's still in white. As soon as that captures in, we'll make sure we've got everything cleaned up, and we'll take care of this after takeoff checklist. Should be right on it. We're half mile. If you look here, we're actually we're just about a half mile left of it. So if we zoom that down, you can see there. So it should catch it here pretty quickly. There it is. LNAV just kicked in. Looking good on that. Let's go ahead and bring the speed up to 240 now.
Passing 10,000 feet, Captain.
There's 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and turn the landing lights off. Come on. Taxi lights off. And let's change this to FMC speed. Or FMS speed. Let that control it now. Boy, we got up there quick, didn't we? Whew. Alright. This thing's a little rocket ship, man. I'm telling you. Alright, I think we can safely go into the after takeoff checklist here. Flaps need to be 0, which they are. We'll confirm. They are indeed. Landing gear up. It is. And pressurization checked. And we can check that on here. This is the pressurization. So the altitude is minus 150. The rate is 700 feet per minute. And so on and so forth. Everything's in the green, which means we're good to go. If there was anything in yellow or red, then obviously we'd have an issue. And that is it until technically the descent checklist, which means, you guessed it folks, it's time for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alright, we're taking the Spain 6 arrival today, and it's always a little confusing to look at these when they're sideways, but we're coming in from EKR, Echo Kilo Romeo, which is the Meeker VOR, and you actually find it in this little box up here. Now you gotta note that this box is not to scale. Between EKR and Racer is 44 nautical miles, and then between Racer and MTU is another 57 nautical miles, whereas you look at the larger distance here is only 50 nautical miles. So it's important that you recognize that this really is not to scale. This is basically taking a portion that's off the chart and putting it on the chart so that you can see what's going on. So we'll enter in at EKR, bang a left 258 degrees down here to Racer, continue on that course down to MTU, and still on that course down to, looks like that's Thistle. There's no altitude restrictions in here thus far. Down here to Spain, which is of course what the arrival is named after. Now, you see there's some notes here, and I know it's a little hard to read sideways, but turn your head a little and you'll be able to do it. Expect flight level 190 if you're landing south and you're flying in a jet. Expect 17,000 if you're landing south and flying in a prop plane, so we're obviously flying in a jet plane. Okay. Now this has a little line going up to here, so I'm assuming that's what we should expect somewhere in here. So we'll probably shoot to be at 19,000 right around MTU, even though that's quite a ways out still. I find that a little weird to be, unless this line is for some, you know what, this line has nothing to do with the box, I'm an idiot. It has to do with the green squares. So at Spain is where we're going to want to be at 19,000. Actually, that's incorrect, because based on the weather, we're going to be landing to the north. So if you're landing to the north, you expect 16,000 feet at Spain. So we should be shooting for 16,000 feet at Spain. And I got a cough here for you. Oh, these allergies are out of control right now. Bang a right to 280 degrees down here to, looks like this is Bogey, B-O-A-G-Y, Bogey, we'll go with that. And then it's just a short trip between there and FFU. We may not even have Bogey in there. And then at FFU, banging a right here, and down to Drive. I got to turn my head sideways too, and then down to Chip here. And it doesn't show any altitude restrictions for any of those. Just shows some distance markers and the lat long for those. And then from there, we'll enter onto our approach, which of course will be briefing here shortly. All right, as you can see, we're about 20 nautical miles from top of descent here. I've already started prepping for it. Now, the descent checklist is technically something that you do, well, you do it once you get below 18,000 feet. We're going to do it earlier because a couple of reasons. One, I need to leave some space in there for the approach brief, which is going to come after, and also I've got other things to do. I'm doing the work of 2 people here on this flight deck, so we're going to be doing it earlier. Yeah. Okay. So what I've gone ahead and done, you've already gotten the arrival briefing at this point, so I've already reset our altitude just so that it, you know, it's ready to go instead of me running my mouth the whole time. My brain does not want to work right now. I've reset it to 19,000 based on the requirement, and it should be 16,000, shouldn't it? Yeah, it should be 16,000. So let's go ahead and scroll that down to 16,000. And then before we get there, we're going to make sure everything's going good, and then we're probably going to want to lower that a little further. Now, if you look closely out there, you might be able to tell. So, like, there's a line right here. So this is where the photo real scenery is going to start. You can kind of see the line going off into the distance. I didn't want it, you know, this photo real scenery takes up a lot of space, and so I didn't want to have, like, all the tiles around. So, yeah. So you're going to see a change. You know, it's kind of an obnoxious thing to have that line, but you know what, it is what it is. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's carry on because we're going to be here all day otherwise. Okay, so we're coming up on it. So we should be inside 2 minutes from top of descent, which means I should be able to change the VNAV now. That's the nav mode. VNAV is this one, right? Yep. Nope, it's just doing V altitude. So if I remember correctly, though, once you're within a certain distance, maybe that's, you know what, I'm probably thinking of the Majestic Dash 8. I think we're probably just gonna, Let's see if it changes on its own when we hit top of descent here. And I'll stop running my mouth. Okay, other things, so descent checklist, we're going to go ahead and take care of right now. Okay, auto brake, we're not going to use it, but you would set it. Landing data set in the FMS, we're going to do that once we get past top of descent here, because I don't want to, if this thing doesn't start descending on its own, I don't want to end up friggin', you know, 30 miles past top of descent and be like, oh yeah, there's top of descent. You can see what I'm talking about there. You can see there's the edge of the tile for the photoreal scenery. So I like photoreal scenery. It's not great for the cities because the buildings are all flat when you get down close, but especially in areas where it's all terrain, photoreal looks beautiful. It really does. So I'm a pretty big fan of it, but it takes up a lot of space. You know, this is probably, each of these tiles I think is a little over a gig of data, so you know that can add up pretty quick. And then of course any buildings or anything are pretty much going to be flat except for the auto gen that FSX decides to put on there. So anyway, coming up on it here pretty quick. Let's see if it starts to descend on its own, and if it does not, then we'll hit the VNAV button again, I guess. V altitude, top descent, VNAV path, right into it perfectly. Sweet. No problem. Okay, so you can see you don't have to actually do anything except change the MCP altitude and you're good to go. So now that we started our descent, let's go ahead and take care of this landing data. Now, landing data, you get that from the same place that you get, well, not quite the same place, from the same area that you got your takeoff data though. It's all the way in the back, same place you get your checklist from. Alright. Pop this guy up here and go to performance, landing, and last I checked, you know what, let's just go ahead and pull it, make sure we're good. So KSLC 340 at 10 knots and 3047. So 340 at 10, 3047, 340/10. Put that in there. 3047 obviously will go on our barometric pressure setting, our altimeter. I'm wondering if you're supposed to pressure, altitude, baro set. Okay, that'll change when we change the barometer. So anyway, moving on. Okay, we're not going to do anything here, but we do need to do something here. So in order to get the information for this, first of all, you need to find the chart. But you're going to find on the chart whether your weight, right? So we got to know what our weight is, and to do that, if you remember when we went performance initialization, page 3, okay, that was our zero fuel weight. This is our current gross weight, 68,270. We're certainly going to burn off a little bit more, but we'd probably be safe saying 66,100. Because we're going to burn off a couple thousand. You know what? I'm not even going to say that. Let's say 68,000. If we're a little faster on our landing, that's alright. So you can see that terrain clearly now. So we're going to say 68,000 is our gross weight. And we're going to go back here to page 3. No, page 3. There we go. And then what you're going to do is we're going to be doing I like to do a full flaps landing. That's just the way I do it. So for 68,000, the closest one is 68,300 is basically what we're at right now. So VREF for full flap landing is 127. Put that in there. And then the approach speed is that plus 5 knots, so that's going to be 132. And then the VAC is, for us, is going to be a flap 2 VAC. So that's going to be 142. And then our VFS over here is going to be... Oop, I lost my spot there. There we go. 184. 184. There we go. BAMSes. And while we're at it, let's jump to the radio page real quick. You remember we need 109.5. This is going to be our nav frequency. Click next to the white one here, and then click the one above it, and that switches them. So there we go. We got it programmed in there. And then for nav 2, actually you're going to get the approach briefing here in a few minutes, but I'm putting these in now anyway. For nav 2, we need to put in the Wasatch, I think that's how you say it, VOR, which is 116.8. And you'll see why when you see the approach briefing here shortly. Same thing, put it down here, click it, it switches them, and there you go, there's your nav 2. And what else we got for descent? Altimeter set and cross-check, that's once we go below 18,000, which won't be for a few minutes here. And that's it. Nothing else to do until we get to the approach checklist. So what we need to do right now, so that we can get it taken care of, is knock out this approach briefing. So, yeah. Just making sure I didn't miss anything here real quick. Nope, I think we're good to go, so let's go ahead and let's take care of the approach briefing. Okay, so the ILS or localizer 3-4 right approach is what we're going to be flying today. And this is going to actually turn to a little correction for our arrival. Because that chart was turned sideways, I wasn't paying attention to the fact that north was technically orientated to the left. And so I had us continuing past FFU down around here, but that would be to land south, and we're not doing that. So once we hit FFU here, we're going to be on our initial approach fix, and we're going to bang a right to the 346 degree radial off of that down here to Plague, which is an awesome name, which is also an initial approach fix. We'll be using FFU, however. And then to Algae, Hacker, I'm liking some of these names. Iruyu, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but that's our final approach point is here at Chevel, and then Iruyu, and then Gitby down in here. So that's what we're going to be flying for the approach. My apologies as far as the arrival is concerned, because obviously we won't be bypassing FFU. Now, I did say I did catch a little note on the arrival chart that said if you're flying from FFU for a, come on brain, function. If you're flying an approach to runway 34 right off of FFU, you would expect the ILS. Okay, so we're going to fly the ILS anyway. So it's going to be 109.5, ATIS on 124.750, final approach 125.7, and then tower 119.5, and then ground on 123.775, where they're really making use of those frequencies, aren't they? Simultaneous approach is authorized with 3-4 left and 3-4 right, as well as runway 35, which is this guy over here. So, but I don't see that happening just because I hardly have any AI traffic turn on. Anyway, let's take a look at our profile view here. First of all, plenty of runway to work with, 3,658 meters, no displaced threshold. We can see our lighting pattern here, what we should expect to see, and then our typical 3-degree glide slope with PAPI lights on the left-hand side. There is no slope to this runway. It's pretty much as flat as can be, and the touchdown zone is at 4,222 feet above sea level, and threshold at 4,221. So good times there. We're not going to need this information because we're flying a precision approach. This is for a non-precision localizer approach. Excuse me. Coming out here to Hacker, we need to be at 9,000 feet. That's going to be our descent point there. And down into Chevel, and then Iruyu and Gitby, which is also our missed approach point. Continue on that 3-degree glide slope. If we do have to fly a missed approach, we're going to fly direct to TCH VOR, and then from there we're going to take the 331 degree radial to OJD and climb to 9,000 feet. And what that looks like up here, straight ahead until you hit TCH VOR, so we need to try to remember to program that into the nav radios, or at least nav 2, and then once you hit that 331 degree radial out to the hold point, which we said was OGD, is this guy right here, so a little inset, and then we would hold there. Of course, we're not going to be doing that because we're not actually flying ATC today. And I think that wraps it up as far as the approach is concerned. A couple things to be aware of. There's a lot of high terrain around here. You can see 11,750 feet for this guy right here. However, by the time we get over here to FFU, even though this guy's a little high, you can see we're in the valley that Salt Lake City rests in here, so we should be, excuse me, good to go on that. And with the photoreal scenery that I've loaded in there, it's going to be a fantastic view, so we'll definitely make it a point to look around a little bit. So there we have it. Let's go fly this approach and try to land it without killing anybody. Alright, so you can see the view out the window has gotten quite a bit better, at least on this side, but of course if we look on this side we still see that line there. I know that's a little annoying, a little frustrating, but you know, I really like seeing this nice clean terrain, and this was as close as we were going to get for a nice airport scenery. There's really nothing else for Salt Lake City because nobody really seems to fly in there. So, but we're turning at FFU here now onto our final approach fix, or our final approach course here, pretty soon anyway. It's actually up at Plague, and then we're going to go to 343. So what I want to do is I want to change the heading select to 343. And we'll do that right up here. So let's see, where does it show us the actual selected heading? Right on here, 344. So 343 will be the final approach course, and then our course. Let's see if it's letting me change that. It's not, because we're still in FMS mode, and that's all right. Let's go ahead and slow it down a little bit more here. Bring the speed down. I've got it on manual speed now. We'll bring it down to 180. Take it nice and easy on the way in here. And we're below that dot, which means I think technically, no, not technically anything. Flap select right here. So first setting of flaps, I believe, can come out right here. We could put out our first setting of flaps at this point, but I don't think we need to. And we've actually got it on the card right here. Let's take a look and see if we can see it here. So for flaps 1, 230 knots. So yeah, we could extend the flaps. At least we could start to extend them. So let's go ahead and bring that first flap setting in. That's fine. And that'll add a little drag and help slow the aircraft down as well. And then what I want to do here, so before we actually get to Plague, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to change our heading select to our current heading, 353. And we're going to go into heading mode. And then I'm going to change us to nav, localizer 1. And once we get up here to Plague, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hit the do we have a localizer button? I don't remember. I don't think we do. No. We can hit nav for localizer. Okay, so it grabbed it right away. So that's good. So you can see down here, I know I'm kind of bumbling around a little, sorry. Okay, so by hitting the nav button, being in nav mode, remember we went from FMS, we clicked on this button here, this put us in nav mode, so the nav radios are our primary source of navigation now. And then we hit the nav button over here, and that armed and then immediately grabbed the localizer, right? Okay. Now we need to hit the approach button, which is right below it. And see, that went to V altitude select. I don't like that. So I want to go back to VNav. No, it's not even doing that. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. I want to stay on localizer. It's on VPath. Good there. We're probably too far out to grab the glide slope right now. Is probably why. But you can see it's going to line up the localizer here. So that's good. And then when we get in a little bit closer, we'll go ahead and we'll arm the glide slope as well. And we can start bringing our speed down towards 132. And that's how you fly the ILS. Let's go ahead and take care of the approach checklist as we're getting in closer here. Passenger signs need to come on, which I never turned them off. They're over here, not over here. So we're good on that. We're just about to go below 10,000 feet. So landing lights will come on here in just a second. And then altimeter's set and cross-checked. Let's go ahead and hit the landing lights. Not sure if we do taxi lights on this one or not, but we'll hit them anyway. So we're good there.
Descending below 10,000.
I was waiting for that. I want to make sure. And okay, so 3047, 3047. So we're good on both of those. That's fantastic. And let's try the approach button again here. I still think we might be a little too far out. Yep, still just a little too far out. So we'll stay on that. Not sure why it's not. I got the right frequency, don't I? 109.5. Let's double check that real quick. 109.5 nav 1. It's on localizer 1 here. That's what we're flying via. So not really sure what's going on with that. VNav disconnect. That's wonderful. There it is. I had to hit it twice for some reason before it would grab it. But it's grabbed it now. So we're on localizer. and we're on glide slope. Remember, none of these light up. Instead, we have to look over here to see that. So we're on localizer, we're on glide slope. We can go ahead and bring that speed down some more. Let's bring it down to 150 for now. Now remember, once you go past flaps 1, you cannot use the speed brakes anymore. So if we want to use speed brakes, we got to do it now. Bring out some speed brakes, just help us slow down a little quicker. And we're already set at 9,000 feet. That's our go-around altitude. And you saw nav2, we've got the TCH VOR programmed in. My brain is not functioning well right now. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of those speed brakes now. We can bring in the next flap setting, no problem. That should help us slow. And since we've already captured the glide slope, let's go ahead and put the landing gear down. You can see the airport dead ahead there. Bring that speed all the way down now to 132. It's saying 136. It's not going to let. Well, we can bring in another flap setting, so now it'll probably let us go to 132. Nope, not going to let us. It's all right. Bring the flaps full. Keep a close eye on that speed. Oh, I was moving the altitude. Man, I hate when I do that. Okay, 132. We're on the glide slope. We're on the localizer. Speed's good. Let's go ahead and arm the speed brakes. I think they're armed. Not sure. Usually they pop up or something, right? That's alright. We're not going to be using auto brakes. I think I already mentioned that. Beautiful view coming in here, though. Once you get past that little edge between the photoreal scenery and stuff. Now, of course, everything's flat down there. So, yeah, I get it. That looks a little weird. It'd be nice if those buildings were three-dimensional, but still not too bad. Let's go ahead and turn track IR on. I'm going to just let it fly the glide slope for a minute. Let the autopilot do its thing. I'm not worried about it. Let's go ahead and turn the auto throttle off.
Throttle.
Gotta play with that a little bit, get it where we want it, huh? There we go. Alright. Looking good? I suppose, let me just settle this speed just a little. And then we'll take the autopilot off. Because I know you guys prefer me to hand fly. I prefer hand flying anyway. It's a lot more fun. It's more of a challenge, obviously. Let's take the autopilot off.
Autopilot.
Okay.
Autopilot.
We're now flying manually. Everything's looking good. Really nothing to do at the moment. Just kind of keep her straight here. She's drifting just a little bit to the right. Speed's just a skosh high, but not bad, not bad. There we go. Getting a few bumps here, a little bit of turbulence. That's alright. It's pushing us up a little bit, actually. There we go. Just trying to maintain that glide slope. Again, buildings are all flat and stuff. I know it's not the greatest look, but it's not that bad either. I can deal with it, to be honest with you. I think it looks alright. I think it's tolerable. Some of you are probably going, you're out of your stinking mind. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and I hate you for it. And that's okay. That's your opinion. I would certainly prefer to have 3D buildings there, but overall, I think that the photoreal scenery gives a little bit better of a look than you get from the default scenery, especially over there on the mountains and stuff like that. And that's really what I put it in for, is the terrain. So looking pretty good. Just trying to drop off on us just a little bit there. Let's just hold her up just a skosh. Speed's alright. It's actually getting in the yellow when it gets to 134. It's just a little bumpy coming in here. It's not bad. We've certainly dealt with worse, haven't we? Okay, now she's trying to float just a little on us. Just want to watch that. Looking good overall. Nice, smooth, well-controlled approach. Very stable. That's the idea. You want a stable approach. Yeah, see, I knew we were dropping just a skosh fast there. So we'll just bring the nose up just a little bit. We're not even really messing with the throttles much. Barely moving the throttles at all.
Approaching minimums.
Oh, that was a weird flash there. Okay, there's our 132. Bring in just a touch of throttle.
Minimums.
Looking good. That's where we want to be. Keep it on that glide slope. It always smooths out over the runway. It does that in real life too. Okay.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Throttle's back. There we go. Smooth as butter, folks. That was minus 23. That was awesome right there. That was beautiful. Alright, we are clear of the runway here. Let me go ahead and turn track IR off for a second. And let's take care of this after landing checklist. Did we do the before landing checklist? I thought we did. Maybe we didn't. Oh well. Too late for that. There is no after landing checklist, but there are a few things we need to do anyway. We want to make sure that we get the flaps up. I guess there's no auto spoilers on this, which is kind of weird to me. I would think that it would have them. Most of these aircraft do, but apparently it does not. We can go ahead, let's make sure taxi lights are on, which they are, and then landing lights can come off. And let's go ahead and fire up the APU. Get that going. And where are we taxiing to here? Let's see, we came off, we're at Hotel 8. I'm just looking at my chart over here, Hotel 8. Yeah, so we're just going to pull up here and we're going to flip a UE. We're going to come back and we're going to be able to park without any major issues. So okay, so let's get her moving up here just a little bit, and then I will break away. And let me turn this back off for just a second. So I'll get moving on the taxi route here. Basically, I'm going to flip a UE right up here, and then I'm going to go back over and I'm going to park at Terminal B, or Terminal 2 Concourse B, which may or may not be correct. To be honest with you, I forgot to check, but not the end of the world. And then I will come back on. We will take care of the parking and the power down checklists, and that'll wrap it up for this one. Alright, we found us a parking space at what appears to be B9, Bravo 9. It got a little, like, messed up once I got close to it, but there it is, Bravo 9. So let's go ahead and take care of this parking checklist. First things we need to do is make sure that our parking brake is on, which it is. There we go, fantastic. Start, stop selectors both need to go to stop. Right click each of those, roll them over to stop. Right click them again to close them. Give it a second because I know that thing's going to start beeping again. APU's already running, by the way, so we're getting power from the APU, no problem. Well, maybe it's not going to ding at us again. Red beacon can come off. That's way up here. Red beacon off. There we go. And then hydraulic pump 3A can go off, which is this guy over here. Hydraulic pump 3A is now off. And that takes us straight into the power down. I knew that was going to happen. I hate you. I hate you with every ounce of my soul. The power down checklist. Passenger signs can go off. Emergency lights can go off. There's our thing beeping again. APU's already on. We're not going to turn it off quite yet. No, actually we are. So APU off. Oh, please stop. For the love of my sanity, please stop. Okay, APU can come off now. And batteries 1 and 2 off. There's 2. There's 1. And no more dinging. And so here we are with that beautiful scenery in the background. It's kind of faded out just a little bit, so I guess it's a little blurry, not quite as crisp as I'd like to see it. You can see a little bit of the city. There's some 3D buildings out there, but of course most of it's pretty flat. It's just the way it is. But that brings us into Salt Lake City, Utah, based on your votes. And like I said at the beginning of the video, for this flight, rather than giving you guys a vote on the next one, I'm going to go ahead and just pick the next flight, wherever that may take us. I'm going to literally pick the flight that is the longest. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the flight that's the longest, and that's what I'm going to fly. And then wherever that takes us, and of course I'm going to record that. I'm not going to just fly it. It's going to be a video. But at the end of that video, I will give you guys the option of where we go next. And then I'll fly that one. And then when I complete that one, I'll just fly one more. Same thing. And then that'll allow you guys to pick the last flight that takes us over the necessary hours to make promotion to captain, which is going to be fantastic. We're going to hop over to the website here in just a couple minutes, but I just want to go ahead and say it here. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment and smash that subscribe button. I really appreciate all of my subscribers. I always have appreciated every one of you. Some of you have been on with me for a long time, and we've had a lot of interaction. It's been fantastic, and I really appreciate it and enjoy it. We are over 2,000. In fact, we're at almost 2,100 subscribers, which is just really exciting to me. I think that's fantastic. I'm thinking about trying to put together a montage or something for 2,000 subscribers, but I don't know. Maybe we should just wait till 5,000 and do some like huge blowout or something. That being said, hop on over at the top of my YouTube channel there. You'll see links for Facebook and Twitter. Click on either one of those. You'll want to like me on Facebook because that's where I put all my live stream announcements up. And we've got, I think, a little over 100 followers for live streams now over there on Twitch. So that's fantastic. I appreciate that. And I appreciate when you guys can join me for a live stream. And here pretty soon we're going to be doing a live stream where we're going to fly together on, what's it called, FS Cloud. We're going to fly together on FS Cloud. We're going to fly a flight that's called, I believe they call it Flying the Hump. We're going to fly a DC-3, and it's not going to be all at once. It's going to be several flights. It's like 8 flights or something. We're going to fly a DC-3 from the United States over to Vietnam, recreating a flight that was flown by the father of one of my longtime subscribers and benefactors, Shaker MT, and he's gathered all the information. And once we're ready to put that together, I'll post links on Facebook where you can get the flight information, where you can download the aircraft. It's a really good freeware DC-3 that we're going to be flying, the whole shebang. So you definitely want to like us on Facebook. You want to follow us over on Twitter, because when I post a video, it should automatically announce on Twitter, and you should get an announcement when I'm live there as well. And then, of course, don't forget, now live on Twitch. So hop on over there, Captain Mac 3588. Click the follow button over there so that you get announcements or whatever when I go live, and you can join us there. That's going to wrap it up for this flight. We do need to take care of ACARS real quick. We grab that over here. We did manage to get a little extra time out of this flight. Yeah, the flight's going to be late. I get it. That's okay. I mean, obviously, that's not ideal. We really want to be on time, but you don't get anything extra for being on time or being early. Now, if we got all kinds of crazy with this and tried to stretch this out and add like an extra hour or something, that PIREP's going to be denied. We're not going to be able to get away with that. But we did manage to add a little bit of extra time to this, and it wasn't so much me adding it. We had a headwind the whole way. So that helped us out a little bit, and then, we took our time, nice, long, easy approach, all that good stuff. So, it added a little extra time there, and that's fantastic. That's going to bring us that much closer to getting that promotion to captain, which, of course, we're looking forward to. So let's go ahead and end the flight here. That's done. File the PIREP. There she is. Close this out because we don't need it anymore. And let's hop on over to the website, wrap everything up over there, and we can call this one done and dusted. All right, here we are back on the website, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't have credit for the hours yet. I'm guessing because we went over by about 40 minutes, so it's quite a delay actually. So it's probably going to have to be manually approved. I don't foresee it being denied for any reason, but yeah, we probably stretched it a little more than we should have on that one. It wasn't intentional. I was trying to get maybe an extra 10 minutes out of it, but we did hit a headwind the whole way, so that slowed us down. So I don't think it's going to be an issue getting it approved, but let's take a look real quick at what is available to us. So approval pending, probably needing the manual approval. Also keep in mind that because it's been a little over a month since I've flown, I did have to put the profile on leave of absence, so it might need a manual approval anyway for that first flight coming back. So not a big deal there. Should be just fine. So there's our departure information. If you're interested in it, you can pause and take a look at all that. Here's the arrival information. We had a really smooth landing. Surprisingly, I wasn't really trying to grease it. So we definitely landed it properly. Minus 23 feet per minute. So fantastic job on that. How much fuel did we burn? Landing, we had 53.89, which is about right. And I was pretty close on the weight, actually. Where are we at here? Doesn't it show our fuel burn on here? No, I guess it would show fuel burn up here. Here we go. Fuel used in kilograms, 7,188 kilograms of fuel. I don't know what the conversion is, but there you have it. And that is going to wrap it up for this one, folks. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pick the next flight. It's going to be whatever's the longest flight, even if it's where we just came from. Doesn't really matter to me. And then at the end of that flight, I will ensure that you guys get the option for the next flight after that. So don't be dismayed. I'm actually probably going to do that one like right now and then edit both of these back to back and hopefully be able to post them pretty close to each other. So you might see 2 videos out this week. So don't be dismayed that you don't get to vote on the next one because you'll vote on the flight after that. And I love having that interaction. So that's not something I'm going to get rid of at all. It's just something I'm going to skew a little bit for the next few flights so that we can get this wrapped up. But enough talky talk. That's it for this one. That's it. That's all, no more. As always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all and have a fantastic day.